welcome back to the Whippy Studio, and today I'm here to talk about Season 13, Episode 9 of When Calls the Heart, called Lost and Found. Again. So, I guess there must have already been an episode called Lost and Found, if they had to put again at the end of it. Season 1, Episode 1 was called Lost and Found. That's interesting. So, that makes total sense, because this episode really felt like a full circle nostalgia trip in so many ways. You had the scavenger hunt, you had the old schoolhouse play-ins coming up. There was a lot of things that really reminded me of how the show used to be. With Charlotte there too. It very much felt like an OG type episode, like more like a classic When Calls the Heart without, and it didn't feel like too much was going on either. They really just restricted it to the schoolhouse plotline, the scavenger hunt plotline, and then Lucas and Edie have a little subplot going on. But I thought it worked really well. It was definitely probably one, if not my favorite episodes of the season. I think my favorite is still episode 2, with the fire and everything. I think that still takes the cake, but this was really strong too. Obviously, LJ, he did a great job. The little boy did a great job of playing him. There is some tough stuff for him to do in this episode. I feel like we all expected this episode to happen one day where LJ would struggle or, have to come to terms with his dad's death and struggle with the fact that he has no memories of him. We all knew it was going to happen, and now that we're finally seeing it, it's so satisfying to see, but it's also so hard to watch, because you don't want to see this little boy crying or whatever, but he kept, he kept himself together. There was really no little to no tears, even when he lost his medal. He's brave. Nathan and Allie pointed out. So, I think he played the character really well. It was, definitely LJ's best episode of the entire show by far, for sure. But yeah, he loses his dad's medal, and, he's upset, but he's not distraught. He's just struggling because that was his last thing tying him to his dad. And Elizabeth says the memories of them are what, keeps us going, keeps them alive in our hearts. And he says, I don't have any memories of him, which is what gets them to do the scavenger hunt. Basically just him going around with clues and learning more about his dad via the people around him. Which, they're lucky they were able to, pull this off, because some people don't, they lose someone and they weren't considered, a hero. And interestingly enough, Allie tells Oliver, she feels like she's happy for LJ that he gets to experience this, but she's also a little, hurt that she, her dad isn't well liked and she doesn't get to have him, have that memory of him, the good memories of him like LJ does. And Oliver can relate to her on that. So I would have liked if they would have delved into that a little bit more, or maybe that'll come back up again. Allie, even though Allie has struggled with that, she very much kept herself together for LJ by the end, putting together that story with Charlotte's help and reading it to him. Just like Elizabeth, she's very thoughtful and she has such a big heart, which is very admirable, and Oliver can notice that too. But yeah, that was just an interesting tidbit that, it makes sense why Allie would struggle with that. Her dad wasn't a perfect hero in the same way that Jack was. He wasn't perfect, and Charlotte even says that, but it was interesting. But I enjoyed the scavenger hunt itself. I enjoyed the stories that we got. They all pretty much made sense with Rosemary and Lee. Now I'm glad that they kind of referenced the Rosemary and Jack of it all. It's hard. That was so long ago. I would have liked if Lee had a separate dialogue about Jack being his best friend, because it kind of made it seem like the only attachment he has to Jack is that he's the reason why he met his wife, and they had a lot more to their friendship. So I would have liked if maybe Jack went to Rosemary and then went to Lee, so Lee got to share something about his personal relationship with Jack. But that's just a minor thing. Also, my friend Rachel on Hallmarkie's podcast, she pointed out it would be cool if Opal shared how Jack saved her from the fire. I think that would have been cool. She was young, but she obviously still remembers it. It would have been kind of a cool tidbit to show that Jack touched the younger kids' hearts too, not just the older people's. But we also got Bill, which that was a great scene. And Faith, which I like that they tied in Faith into this too. I completely forgot about her and Jack's friendship back in season 2, and she wasn't. It's hard to believe that she hasn't been in Hope Valley all along, because it really feels like that. But yeah, it was nice to include her in it, because she just doesn't get a whole lot of emotional scenes like that. She has more now that Lily's around, but it was nice to see her outside of just that role, and to touch back on some people that Jack touched that we just don't really remember all that well. With Henry too, we kind of forgot that how much Jack's invitation to the bachelor party meant to Henry. So, that was a great moment for Henry too. We don't really see Henry and LJ together. We see a lot of Bill and LJ, but not Henry. I would personally, my thing is, I don't really know where Goldie is at. Maybe they're just gonna wait until she gets a bit older to give her more stuff to do when she can have lines and everything. But I would like to see Henry and Goldie, just him acknowledging that he has a goddaughter. It just feels very non-existent. But that's just a tiny tidbit. But again, my guess is once Goldie's a bit older, in the next few seasons, we'll get to see her on screen more and all of that. Maybe get to see her have some lines. So yeah, but I thought it was really, really well done. The everything with Jack, even Elizabeth and Rosemary talking about him, and it just they're very nostalgic, and it kind of made me realize I do kind of miss Jack on the show. I miss Elizabeth and Jack's relationship. There is something so special about it that just can't be replicated. It's the same way in Heartland. There's something about Amy and Ty's relationship that just can't be replicated, and it's not supposed to be. Elizabeth and Nathan, I like them a lot, but Elizabeth and Jack, there's just something special between them. And that they started the show, so that's to be expected. So I like that it got Nathan to a point too where I feel like his journey has been stepping out of Jack's shadow, and here he tells LJ, "I'll always be here for you." And it felt like he finally stepped out of that shadow, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be a second dad in a sense, a new role for him. Not a new role because he is a dad already to Allie, but I like that progress for him, that development. Of course, him inviting Charlotte too and her showing up was great, because I think LJ needed someone who was grew up with his dad to fill in that gap, to close off, you had all these people that knew him when he was older, but someone who knew him when he was younger too. So I really like that they found a way to bring Charlotte into this, and seeing LJ have a grandma. Because from all this time we haven't seen, he doesn't have grandparents around. So I like that Charlotte's now there, even if it's not super often. She's a part of his life, and he enjoys spending time with her. I think we all cherish our grandparents. We all cherish them. So I like that they tied that in too. And seeing Charlotte include Allie in the family was also really sweet. It's just so interesting to see how far Charlotte has come, because she, when we first met her, she was so brash and all of that, but now she's just really comforting and thoughtful, and it's really nice to see her trajectory. So I'm looking forward to what's gonna happen with her next episode for sure. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I also enjoyed the schoolhouse plotline. This was easily one of my favorite, some of my favorite stuff in the schoolhouse for a long while, because we have the Benson Hills funding. Sorry about that. We have the Benson Hills funding gets removed or something, gets interfered with, which sets up a Lucas and Edie subplot. But Elizabeth suggests that the kids should get to have a say in what their new schoolhouse is going to be, the Benson Hills schoolhouse. So Lee brings in the original plans that Jack designed, and it was so nice to see Elizabeth and LJ so oh my gosh, especially Elizabeth, seeing just those memories of him, they stay alive through, the people he was close to. So I really like seeing the old schoolhouse plans and their reactions to that. Seeing the kids work together on what this new schoolhouse should look like was really cool. Seeing Opal and Rupert work together an unlikely pairing, but I like that they're doing more with Opal this season for sure. I think she's a very talented young actress too, just like Allie. So yeah, I mean, some really good stuff in the Schoolhouse too. So I thought both the scavenger hunt and the Schoolhouse plot lines were really good this week. So the final subplot is Lucas and Edie. So basically, she's helping him secure the schoolhouse funding, but you can tell there's just some animosity, not animosity, awkwardness, lack of closure between them because she left so abruptly, and it's hard. Lucas, very much closed himself off, but now he wants a second chance. He's apologizing, and Edie says, "I don't think I can do that for you." So we're in the cat and mouse game territory, and on one hand, it makes sense. It adds, a little bit of will they, won't they, to it. But on the other hand, it's frustrating because we want to see them together. So I'm hopeful that Edie, I don't see Edie giving up her job and moving back. I don't see them going that route because it's clearly she enjoys her new job. We could very much, I very much think Lucas will go to her, whether he's out of town for a campaign event. That's probably the most likely. I would personally like to see more of his re-election campaign. That very much seems to be a not important as of right now, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we'll see about that. Next episode, it looks like we're getting the long-awaited proposal, maybe. Or they could keep it drawn out to the finale, but I hope we're getting a next episode. They would very much like that, for sure. So, yeah. Comment down below, what did you think of this episode? What did you think of the scavenger hunt? What did you think of the schoolhouse plot? And Lucas and Edie, how are you feeling? Are you as hurt as I am? It's just so hard to see, them just not being able to commit to each other. It's tricky because I think we all want them together. But yeah, and of course next week, super excited. Hopefully we get that proposal, and seeing Nathan go to Charlotte for permission or her blessing, I think is going to be a really great scene. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye everyone.